Hello everybody, this is Curtis from PSNStores.com. Today we're taking a look at the Legend of well, not Zelda, although it might look like it from that title screen right there. This is Chronicles of Teddy, Harmony of Exidus, which was not its first name. So as we let this kind of story thing scroll by, which is just kind of introducing you to the world, what's going on in the story. Basically, there was a game called Finding Teddy, which was a point-and-click adventure game released on Steam and PC. Then there was Finding Teddy 2, which is what this game is, and it was an action-adventure game. So this game just came out on PS4 this week. It's published by Axis Games. I'm assuming that the name was changed just to kind of present it as a more standalone like story and experience, which it is. You don't really, this gives you a pretty good rundown of what's going on. You don't really need to know anything from the first Finding Teddy, or at least I have played through and finished this game, and I feel like I didn't really miss anything. I do think it's interesting, and I want to go back and research it a little bit more, because I think it's interesting that the first game was a point-and-click adventure game, and then this was something very different. And what this is actually a really, really cool game with a couple little things that kind of were frustrating. So you saw the title screen, and obviously that was very much an homage to Zelda. If you look at, so you play as this girl, Tarrant, I believe her name is, Tarrant. So she's playing games on her TV, the lights go out. She picks up her little sword and shield. You might notice some things. So the things that immediately stuck out to me, obviously the poster on the wall. Clearly Zelda inspired. And as you'll see, this game is very much, it reminds me of two games specifically, and that is Zelda 2 and Ocarina of Time. And there's two specific things about this game mechanically that remind me of those two games, but also like it kind of spreads out from that and kind of makes it its own thing. And it does a really good job of doing so. But you might also notice these two action figures on her shelf. And then this poster here, I know I've seen this before. I know I've seen that thing. I cannot for the life of me pinpoint where it's from, though. I imagine there were probably other references throughout the game. Nothing that stood out as much as those things did. Definitely, like, those are the things, those are the only things, actually, come to think of it, in the entire game that were like, oh, wow, okay. So here's Teddy. It's gonna be your little companion that kind of follows you around. So we're gonna play, probably for a good portion of the opening of this game. I actually just finished it about 30 minutes ago. It's a pretty decent length, and again, like, definitely a very Zelda kind of experience is probably what you should expect. Just in the progression and the way that you are finding items, and those items are going to be used in specific ways, and oftentimes they'll be used for the boss encounter that you'll come up against. So we start off in this graveyard. We're going to find ourselves in a library, which is kind of like a big castle. You are now in Exidus. So Anguus, maybe, took control of our world, and we have to stop him. He is currently going to the library. Hurry up. So he is he's kind of the main villain of the game. And as far as story is concerned, it's definitely very much kind of takes a backseat. It's all everything is very much gameplay focused. You could probably like kind of get hints of a story as you play through, but it's not really in your face about it. So if I double tap on the D-pad, I can start running, or I can just hold down R1 or L1. I typically went with just holding down one of the shoulder buttons. So I can break these pots. I don't know that they actually have anything just yet. But then we got these marbles. So these marbles are your currency. There's a place that you can buy upgrades and other items that you can use. And so we'll get to those in just a little bit. But, so the Zelda 2 comparison, basically, if you've played Zelda 2, you probably, basically the big takeaway is the combat. The combat is very similar. And you'll notice that. Definitely if you've played Zelda 2 or even seen videos of it, you will notice what I mean. It is, let's see if we'll find some enemies first and see if I can kind of demonstrate what exactly it is about the combat that makes it, kind of stand out. And this is actually something I think, I don't know, like, if you didn't like Zelda 2, you probably are not gonna like this game. I know Zelda 2 is kind of divisive. It's kind of the black sheep. So yeah, so we get these little enemies. You can do like a kind of a little like pogo bounce. It reminds me of DuckTales. You can, if you get good enough, you can actually kind of bounce multiple enemies, like you would in DuckTales. But at any rate, so we got some basic enemies here. You got your regular attack here. You can kind of jump and attack. But specifically, there's you have a duck and then like a regular stance, and there are enemies that you'll come across that have shields. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to kind of fake them out, or you'll have to kind of get by their shield. And that's kind of a big kind of proponent of the combat system. And it does allow for some pretty interesting things. But it can also be kind of frustrating because your reach is very short, while other enemies might have bigger weapons. So it's very easy to just like find yourself running into an enemy and getting hurt, because you have to get like really close up to them to do damage. And it took a little getting used to. It ended up not being as big of a deal. But then the final boss was kind of frustrating, because of that very short range. So here we are. We have reached the library. There's actually some stuff over here too, but whatever. You'll notice these symbols above the door. Those are hugely important. I'm trying to remember how far into the game it is that we get the ability, but there's the Ocarina of Time stuff comes into play a little later on, and that is specifically the way this game uses music and the way that you communicate with other creatures. We'll say there's not really other humans you run into in the world, but you'll run into other you'll find villages with different like creatures and animals living there, and they will communicate to you through song, basically. And so you will, I don't know if we can't really pull it up now, but they'll communicate to you through song, and so you will essentially learn commands from them, and you'll learn their language by talking to them and meeting other villagers and exploring the world. And so what happens is you'll need to take note of these symbols. You'll need to, talk to other people and kind of learn from them in order to progress. There will be locked doors that you need to play a specific song. So that's kind of how that goes, and it's super interesting. Now, you found the book that allows you to access the forest. Go to the main room indicated by a book on the map. Okay. So there are 4 main areas that you can explore, with some other, we'll say optional stuff too. So that starts with the forest, and then there's 3 others that you'll go through, and those have their own area, which as you explore you'll eventually find, let's say we'll call it a temple, and then from there you'll find a new ability. There's a village in each of the areas where you'll meet people. And then there's the boss, where everything culminates in. And all those areas are unique to them, and they have their own enemies that you'll find, and all sorts of things. So it's really cool. And again, so we're seeing these symbols again, which don't really mean anything to us right now, but this is totally a type of game that if you got into it, you could potentially have a piece of paper and a pencil and like be jotting down the symbols to remember them, because you will be told passwords to things, and while it definitely does save everything that you learn, it can sometimes come in handy to write things down, which is something I did. So it can be one of those kinds of games. But I think we're just gonna go ahead and go to the main area, kind of your hub. This whole castle kind of serves as a hub area. But we'll go to the place where we'll access the other worlds that we'll go to. And one, I really like the music in this game. I mean, of course, the use of music and song and the way that you can progress and unlock doors and find hidden areas, that's really cool. Again, that's very Ocarina of Time. I guess Majora's Mask too, because you also do that in that game. The whole game is very Zelda inspired. But that doesn't mean that it's like just another Zelda clone. Like, there's actually there are other things here that make it really interesting on its own. And even just the way that it uses song is actually kind of different as well. Hopefully we'll get there. So here's the shop. So we're collecting these marbles that we can spend them on a number of different things. So this first one here, to spend 10 would completely heal our HP that we got, which you start with 5 bubbles, you can get up to 20. So this ring, there's a ring, a tunic, your sword. This is cool because basically you buy it and it's a consumable, so when you lose all of your health, it instantly revives you. And it revives, I believe, half of your health. This is essentially a heart piece. It'll give you 1 more HP. And then this coin here, I'm not entirely sure what it does, to be honest. Here is kind of your item screen. So again, if you played these kinds of games before, this should look familiar. Obviously, we're going to be collecting items that fit into these slots over the course of the game, and that'll kind of hint to you how you're progressing. But those coins, I'm not sure what they do, and that's actually one thing I would say that I wish was handled better, because some of this can be pretty self-explanatory. Like, obviously, it's like, yeah, that's gonna increase my attack. But you would think, okay, maybe this increases defense, but it doesn't. It actually increases the drop rate of healing items. And then this also increases attack. So, I wish, I don't know, it's not a big deal, ultimately. I ended up just having to figure it out myself, which is fine. I do kind of wish that there were some things that they would just go ahead and explain to you, though. Or just at least tell you what an item does. So we're going to go to the forest. And again, I don't remember exactly how far into the game we have to get for the music stuff. I don't think it's that long, but we'll see. And so here we are. This is the first area. You hit the touchpad. This map's going to start filling itself out. One thing is basically if it's this square, as long as it's blue, that means there is some sort of item, some sort of treasure chest that we need to open still. There's also a yellow color-coded rooms for like secrets and stuff like that. So that's pretty useful if you're trying to like go back and like kind of clean up everything. That was bad. Ooh. See, I'm so used to like having actually good, like a much better weapon. There are these items right here also. So every area, all 4 of them, have, like you see the top right corner, they have collectible items. Again, I'm not too sure. I don't know if it's, I think it's just for collecting. In my first playthrough, I got all of them in at least 2 of the worlds, or 2 of the books, I should say. And I didn't really unlock anything specific, so I think it is just kind of for collecting in general. But I don't know, maybe there actually is something like if you get everything. So we got some health drops here. Got some marbles. Ooh. Alright. So I believe town is up to the left. So the other interesting thing is, beyond just the abilities that you get throughout the game, you're also going to notice on the right side there are these blocks that aren't filled in. So you will also find within the world these orbs. And they're different color-coded orbs. There's 4 of them. I think it's red, blue, green, and yellow. And when you collect them, they actually will fill in those blocks. And so that's, again, like you see here, there are other areas that you'll have to find those orbs to be able to access whatever is up there. And so that's just beyond, like, the other abilities that you'll unlock, which in and of themselves will also help you unlock different areas. So here's our first village. And so here's kind of where you start to get that hint. So this villager here, 3 words, here, village, new tie. And once we actually get the instrument for to play these notes, it'll actually have a book that we can go to, and it will say every word that we learn. And once you meet a villager that says something to you, that word is automatically kind of added to your dictionary. So we can walk around and see, like, okay, now we know hello is those 2 symbols. Now we know that you like me hat is these 4 symbols. And so they span from anywhere from like 2 to I think upwards of like 5. I think later on there are some passwords that are even longer. So we'll go down here and see what's in this. Oh, here we go. Musicom. Okay. We are in business. This is the Musicom. It's an instrument that will allow you to communicate with inhabitants and objects. Now find all the runes that will unlock the language of Exidus. So, we get the Musicom, but unfortunately we don't have any runes, so we don't actually know how to play this thing yet. So there are 12 in the game, and again, you'll just get those as you progress. And those runes will be the different symbols that you're seeing, and so that will allow you to play these notes and kind of speak to other inhabitants of this world. But we can go to our lexicon. There are 5 pages, and you can start to see, like, okay, this is what we've learned so far. And this is just a really good resource just in general, if it's like, because there are times where you'll need to go to someone specific, and it'll be like, you might need to say a specific word to them, or even a phrase. And so it's good to have this, just, even if you're not writing notes down, like, it's good to just be able to pull this up and be like, okay, I need to say this one specific word, and that's what I need to do. Or, like, those are the symbols I need to use. So you can, like, typically I would get to a village, and I would kind of, like, run around and talk to everybody and see what they got to say. So find marbles. Some of these are just kind of hints. You got someone's name. You find, again, Barry. Let's see. You tell past guardian. So that's the example. There is a guardian in each of the areas, and you'll meet with them, and you will have to get past that guardian to gain access to the temple, or like the dungeon of the area. And so oftentimes you'll need to do something specific for that guardian. You might need to tell them something. You might need to give them an item. And so in this instance, we just have to say pass to them. And when you play the game, like, if you get there, you tell please to guardian. So there's actually two different things we need to tell the guardian when we do come across them, which I don't know that we will in this video. Sing the Firefly. So this is the other interesting thing here. And we won't be able to do it right now. But there's actually... There was. Okay. You heard those 2 notes. There's actually a hidden thing here. And so if you listen closely, there in parts of the world, you'll hear these notes play. Sometimes they're 2 notes, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. And you have to kind of like go to your music comm and listen very carefully. And you have to match them together. And if you do that, you'll uncover a firefly, which is just another one of the collectibles in the game. But I think if you get all of them, there's a special item that you get. So let's go to the left here. All right, here we go. So it's our first rune. So now we can go here and we can play this. We can't really do much with it, because we'll need or I guess we can say the word 2. So you can't. It's not freeform so much in that you could walk up to anyone and start like stringing words together. If you do that, it's not really going to do anything. It's very context sensitive of like, this is an area where you need to say this specific phrase to open a door or gain access to a new area. So it's not like you can walk up and actually communicate freely and just be like, okay, I know these words, so I want to actually try to have a conversation. It's not that extensive. That would be really cool, but I think that's also like a bit maybe too ambitious for what this game is. But nonetheless, it's pretty cool system here. So that's just an item that we'll probably have for something. There's quite a few different side quests. Like I said, it's a pretty beefy game for what it is. There's actually there's kind of like a arena, not really arena, but like a challenge run thing called the Citadel, which just pits you in like wave after wave after wave of enemies that you get a special equipment for if you finish it. So let's see where else we can go. Look at our map here. A lot of these things, like you'll see on the map, it's like, okay, that thing's highlighted blue. Clearly, there's still something there. A lot of the times, it's best to kind of save that for later. Just because typically that means that there are, there's other things. There's other items that you're probably going to need to actually find whatever the secret is. Find Joel. So I believe, yeah, so that's Joel we just found. That works out. Yes. Tell open the door. Alright, so open is... see if we can find it. So one of these pages here. Open is those three symbols, which we do not have. The two that we need specifically. So we'll have to go find them. Maybe we'll go far enough to like actually see me use the music comm. Trying to remember, did we go in the store yet? No, okay. The two runes we need, we should be able to find pretty quick. I don't think it took too long to get those. But we'll go back in here because you can exit through the left. If I pull up the map again, you'll start to see like, maybe not quite yet, but it's, for the most part, they do a pretty good job of like having shortcuts in certain areas. Or, like if you need to there is a lot of backtracking. There's a lot of times where you'll need to go to different ends of that area, and so you'll need to go back through certain places you've been before. And it's not too bad. I do wish that, at least like once I got towards the end of the game, I did find myself wishing that, maybe there was an easier way to like maybe like a teleporter, like some form of fast travel, basically. I did kind of find myself wishing that was going to be a thing at some point, but that's fine. Again, the backtracking wasn't too bad. So actually, I think what we need to do is go... I think it's like the top right of the village. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes us. This is definitely something that I would expect to spend a lot of time in, just in trying to figure things out. It can be pretty obtuse. Like there's definitely, especially with the way that kind of the idea of playing these, like finding these runes and figuring out passwords and like what you need to use them for and like where you need to be to use them. Like it definitely gives you a sufficient amount of hints, and you can certainly figure it out on your own. And some places are a little easier than others. But at the same time, I think in the early goings of the game, when you're not really like, when you're still like figuring out how things work, it can be kind of tough, because it's kind of that thing of you're still like getting used to these mechanics and you're still figuring out what the game expects of you. So like that first dungeon, I was actually just flat out stuck in for a really long time because I didn't really know or understand what the game wanted from me as far as like the music comm was concerned. And I could see that maybe being a little frustrating. To me, it wasn't too bad, but it's certainly the type of thing that you have to like once you figure it out, and once you get it, like you're golden at that point. Like once you understand, like at that point, it's like, all right, I'm good. Like I know what this game wants from me, and then it's just a matter of figuring it out. So we're getting some runes. I think we're still missing. Yeah, it's like the square one that we need for open. It should be somewhere, somewhat nearby, I guess. We're definitely not going to get to a boss in this video. I like the bosses quite a bit. The final boss can be kind of frustrating. I think I mentioned that earlier, just because, and it's mostly just for the reason that you don't really have, like this is how far you can attack, right? And so you have to get very close up, and just the way that boss fight is done, it can be very hard to get a hit in certain parts of that fight, and that can get pretty frustrating. But other than that, I actually really like the boss fights. The second one in particular, I think might be my favorite. I thought that was just a really cool fight in general. In the way that they used the new ability that you found, or I don't remember. But I know it was specifically like the way that they were using certain abilities. I thought was really cool. Like the first one was kind of basic, but as they started integrating like different abilities in, that you were like getting throughout through progressing just the game in general, and how you would use those abilities against bosses, I thought was really cool, and pretty well done. So let's look at our map now. Okay, still missing the rune we need, so hopefully we'll find it pretty soon. Eventually this, I think, is just gonna wrap around to the beginning. As far as going back to the hub world, each world does have like a kind of teleportation stone, we'll call it, that you can use to go back to the hub area. And that's really nice and convenient because typically they're close to the temple, and so you can just warp right back to them. Okay, so here's a good example, just because I know it. Typically you would find this out through other means on your own, just exploring the world and piecing it together. But I already know this, and so here's just a pro tip for you. There are these doors here that are covered by spikes, and also later on there will be platforms covered by these same spikes. And there's a specific way you can handle them. You play those 2 notes. And there you go. And that's specifically, I think, even though I didn't, yeah, so that was added, Isa. That is just something that you would normally find throughout the game. And then you would be like, oh, I can use that to get rid of the spikes, and then you would go back to doors with spikes covering them and all sorts of things like that. And then that's how you would figure that out. But I've finished this game, so I just kind of knew that already. I don't know exactly. Yeah, we can't really get the thing that's in here, I don't think. That should show off kind of what the music comm can do, among many other things. Yeah, so I think we're just... Yeah, we're getting close to just wrapping around on this. So we'll play a little bit more. I just wanted to at least show the music comm a little bit, just kind of show what that does. And so we were able to at least do that, even though I did not, because I think the Rune is probably lower in the lower area, which maybe we can get to real quick. We'll see. We'll play a little bit longer. Go through this door. See if we can, just so we can open that locked door specifically. Oh, that brought us back here. Alright, this is like the lower area of the place we were earlier. So what we'll do, because I think you can also see like each room has like a branching point. And so the one to the right actually branches down, which means there's a room below it, obviously. And again, the map is something that isn't, there's not like anything to reference, like there's not a key or anything, or like a legend to look at. But it's pretty, like, it's pretty easy to kind of figure out on your own. Alright, we can't go down here yet. There is one over there, though. Maybe we can get to. The early part of this game is suddenly I forget a lot of it. Or at least where this one rune is. So I've already, it's been a few days now, so. But at any rate, I really like this game a lot. Again, there's just a couple little things that bug me. A couple things that kind of get, or one thing in particular that got a little frustrating, which was just your very short attack range, and that would only get frustrating in just a couple little moments. But I actually really like the combat. I really like Zelda 2, so that helps also. I think that game is really good, even though I know that, you know, that's a different conversation. But nonetheless, I really like this game a lot, and I think the way that they use like the combat and the way that they kind of use the use of song and the use of and the way that that is used and integrated with the puzzle design in this game. Boss encounters, just level design in general and stuff, like all of this is just really well put together. It's I think it looks really nice. It's just a really solid game, and one that I enjoyed for about like 98% of the time I played it. Right up until that last boss, and I started getting a little frustrated with it. But that said, that is gonna do it for this video. Again, this is Chronicles of Teddy. Yeah, Chronicles of Teddy, Harmony of Exidus is the title. Formerly known as Finding Teddy 2 on PC. But this is available now on PS4. It is $15. I will have a review coming soon. I was hoping to get it up today, as in Friday, April 1st. I don't think that's going to happen. But even if it doesn't, it should be up, whether it's up over the weekend or like by Monday. It'll be up soon, but, you know, spoilers, I really like it a lot, with a few minor exceptions. But that's going to do it for me, so thank you for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time. If you like this or any of our other YouTube videos, subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to support what we do in general, be sure to hop on over to patreon.com/PSNstores. Your patronage helps keep our podcast 100% ad-free. Thanks for watching.